It is time to make some mermaid dangles. I wanted to use a mermaid scale silkscreen, but I really want the pattern to pop, so I thought I'd use the technique where you marble some colors together and then add a thin piece of translucent clay to the top. I started by cutting up 3 different colors of clay and smashing them together in a log. My original log wasn't really marbled enough, so I rolled that into a snake and chopped it up and made a new log, and I was happier with how that looked. I cut up the log and laid out all of my pieces, rolled them together, and then took that whole slab and ran it through my pasta machine to try to get a really level, even slab. Next, I added a really thin layer of Cernet translucent clay. I tried really hard to not trap air bubbles underneath the translucent, but there were still a few that I ended up popping with a needle tool before placing the silkscreen down. I wasn't careful enough when I was popping the bubbles and smoothing the clay, so you can see when I lift the silkscreen off the clay that there are a couple places where the paint is smeared. That's where the slab was a little uneven from my bubble popping, and the paint squished under the silkscreen. I'm just going to work around the little smeared spots. I used the larger print on top to make my dangles and the smaller print on the bottom for some studs. Here they are out of the oven. I have them stuck to my high-tech piece of cardboard with double stick tape. I use this all the time when I'm working with cured clay, when I'm adding any sort of surface treatment like paint or foil or UV resin. This is a pen that you can use to draw a sticky, tacky glue onto cured clay. Once you apply this to your cured clay, you can then add foil or glitter and it will stick to only where you applied the sticky glue. I wanted to add purple foil to a few of the scales, so I dabbed some of the glue into the scale spots and then used a silicone tool to spread the glue out over the scales. It dries pretty quickly though. In hindsight, I should have dabbed one scale and then spread the glue out before adding it to any of the other scales. It just ended up with like a slightly textured look, whereas if I had worked a little faster, it would be smoother. I waited about a minute for all of the sticky glue to dry and to become tacky before applying little squares of foil. I then used a soft brush to remove any excess foil. You can see that the foil only stays stuck where I added the tacky glue. This is a really great way to add shiny foil details to your cured clay. It sticks pretty well on its own, but it's not going to stand up to wear and tear, so in order to make these nice and durable, I'm going to seal them with UV resin. Something in translucent clay, maybe a wax, makes UV resin pull away from the edges really badly when it's shrinking and curing. Because of this, I carefully painted some UV resin just on the edges of my shapes and then cured them. Next, I filled the center and cured a second time. This is the best way that I've found to stop UV resin from pulling away from the edges of translucent clay. Here's the final look. I love them. All of my sparkly mermaid dreams have come true.